Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As you can see, I'm doing my broadcast on my mobile phone today. We're not sure whether we may have had a power cut last night because of all the bad weather that had been experienced. So my tablet didn't get a full charge. So that's the reason I'm on my phone. The weather today, as a lot of people are probably aware, we were heavily hit by tornadoes yesterday, and I'll go into that in just a little bit more detail a little bit later on. But at the moment, this is the way that the cloud is looking at the moment here in Zakynthos. We are still on orange alert for thunderstorms. Thank you to Amanda for a concise weather forecast again this morning. So we're on orange alert at the moment, looking forward, as we say, or looking towards maybe more rain and thunderstorms later in the day at some point. Hopefully not on the scale that we've already had, and I'll go into more detail on that in my news segment. But it has disrupted things on the island. I never went out at all yesterday. I was too busy producing shows inside in the house. But Jane was out and about yesterday, and she said that a lot of areas that she was going to Lidl, etc., and driving up through the roads around here, there was a lot of flooding, and there's been a lot of flooding in areas of Kalamaki and also Laguna as well. But I'll come on to that in more detail during the news. I've heard this morning, because Jane's been speaking to her mum early this morning, that there's been snow landing in Leek. Anyway, I'd rather we had snow than I had torrential rain, that is for sure. I always think snow can be the lesser of the two evils. But anyway, that's the look at the weather at the moment here. There's been quite a bit been going on in the way of the news. So my news is going to be a little bit around sort of not higgledy-piggledy, that's a bad word, Ginge. It's going to be a little bit not the way I would normally do the news because of what's been going on with the weather. But anyway, just switch the screens round so you can see me this morning. Hiya. Right, so COVID in the last 24 hours, it's been quite interesting because of what's been going on. Especially here in Zakynthos, some of the stats for the COVID and that hadn't been produced in our local media. I've had to go to government sources to get most of this morning. And again, it's always a trudge to try and find the information you want from the government sources. It's like they're hiding things in plain sight, if you know what I mean. But anyway, new infections at the moment. That, I'm afraid, is up from yesterday. We had 6,565 yesterday. Now reporting to you 6,602. That's bringing the total amount of infections to 914,824. There were 14 new cases identified in checks into the country. That was up on the day before, where we had 8. Now, when it comes to infections on the islands of interest in the Ionian that we've been looking at the moment, Lefkada, they've had 12 new infections. That's down on the day before, where they had 19. Corfu has had quite an increase, actually. Yesterday, I reported that they had 85 infections on that day. Well, I can report now that they've had 114 new infections. They are in dark red. I forgot to mention Lefkada is still in the green at the moment. Cases in Prefecture of Kefalonia, their numbers have dropped just ever so slightly. They had 14 on the day before. Today I can announce they had 12 new infections within the last 24 hours. They are still in amber. When it comes to Zakynthos at the moment, we've had a slight decrease in infections. We were 16 on the day before, and today I can announce 14 new infections here on the island. And Zakynthos at the moment, we are still in the light shade of red and not the dark shade of red. Right, when it comes to deaths then at the moment across Greece at the moment, that has risen again. The death rate seems to be going up and down. We had 78 deaths yesterday, and the day before that we had 93, and today I can report that there's been 86 new deaths across Greece within the last 24 hours. That brings the death toll now to 17,779, 95 95% of those people had underlying diseases or were over the age of 70. And once again, our condolences to families that are affected. When it comes to the ICUs and people in incubation, that has gone up as well. It was 621 yesterday. The new number now at the moment is 630. Critical cases at the moment, of that 630, 373 are male, 257 are female. And of that numbers, 506 are unvaccinated and 124 they are fully vaccinated. So that is the stats for today. Right, let's have a quick look at the weather. A weather front moving across western Greece claimed a life yesterday. A 65-year-old man on Friday in Ilia was hit by a flash flood. Now, Ilia is not here on Zakynthos. That is in another part of the country. Anyway, rescue teams found the car and pulled the man's body from out of the vehicle. Now, thunderstorms and heavy rainfall flooded fields in western Attica, while Nafkos saw landslides. The island of Zakynthos, we made the national headlines, reported tornadoes, and near Primos and West Attica experienced falling trees and material damage. Now, the situation on the island of Eva, which is in central Greece, was also critical, and it was particularly vulnerable due to the fact of the wildfires that had happened in the summer. Normally you find that the foliage around actually helps to stem the flow of water. Obviously, with all the fires that they had, destruction of trees, etc., etc., there was no natural water break for heavy rains, and so basically they had reported some serious landslides. Anyway, traffic on the country's roads across Greece was deemed dangerous due to the volume of water and reduced visibility, while power outages were also reported. Now, here locally, there's been extensive damage caused by the unprecedented bad weather that swept Zakynthos in the early hours of Friday morning. Due to the heavy rain problems which created both in the roadwork systems and in houses and in shops, there was a tornado reported which caused great damage in Kalamaki. Now, I do know that the Aeolus resort in Kalamaki was very badly hit. I was looking at the pictures of that this morning, and can I just send my sincerest condolences to Mr. Philippos of Hermes Radio and the Hermes News Group. His little hotel really took a real bad hit at the moment. And can I also say to him, it was really nice that he wasn't saying much in his own newspaper about how bad his own personal business was struck, but obviously other news sites on the island here obviously reported the bad disruption, or destruction should I say, and also pictures as well, video clips as well of the state of the Aeolus resort, which is a beautiful little place, a little haven down there in Kalamaki. Anyway, also reported the great bad weather mainly affected Zakynthos town, Argasi, Kalamaki, and also Vasilikos as well, where houses and businesses were flooded, while tons of mud closed the road leading from Argasi to Vasilikos. The road had been given to traffic, but also needs a lot of attention because of mud on the road. So once again, if you're having to go down from to the Vasilikos area, I think if you don't need to go there, just don't go there. That would be the full stop, as the roads at the moment are suffering landslide conditions sort of along that route there that they're still trying to clear at the moment. Anyway, they said that strong winds tore down the roof of an indoor gym of the second high school of Zakynthos and transported it back up the road, causing more damage to parked vehicles. Finally, in many villages and roads, their roads were turned into rivers by huge volumes of water. that fell on the island. And I must admit, looking at some of the pictures, Jane was actually out walking yesterday, and she said where she was walking yesterday, there was a lot of water on the roads. I must admit, we sort of live on the slant of a hill, but our drains that obviously carry the water down, they're pretty quite full at the moment, and that just goes to show the amount of water that was washing downhill. Now, the interesting thing is that if I remember about this, not exactly this time last year, but around about this time last year, we had what was called the Medicane that came in and basically did a lot of damage to Zakynthos and to Kefalonia. It'll be interesting to see if there's going to be any kind of disaster fund or any money coming from the government to help people put right some of the damage that has been created by the very, very severe weather conditions that we've experienced. And it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens, all right, in that regard. Also, another local story as well, I thought that should actually get a quick airing, especially for those people who live here on the island. The Association of Accountants of Tax Professionals of Zakynthos informed taxpayers about an incident of fraudulent secondment of taxpayer money in Zakynthos. Now, the approach was made by phone by cunning swindlers who are claiming to be their accountant and asking for e-banking codes to file an alleged tax refund in another city, and they're asking people for their personal tax details. Please, 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 if somebody phones you up saying that they are acting on the behalf of your accountant or whatever schmooze they give you, please do not entertain that call. Put the phone down, don't even get into a conversation with them, and don't embroil yourself. But however, please tell your accountant that you have been approached. The accountants yesterday were warning people, basically, do not send any IBAN numbers, do not send any information of your financial details, your bank statement, or anything else like that. There seems to be at the moment, the island is being targeted by international swindlers, obviously speaking Greek and also speaking English, who are trying to swindle you out of money by saying that you're owed money from the taxman. When was the last time a taxman phoned you and said, oh, I think we've made a mistake on your income tax return. Please send us your bank details. We're going to put some money in your account. No, that doesn't happen. All right. So please be aware of that here in Zakynthos and anywhere else in the world for that matter as well. Anyway, the Greek government said on Friday it's going to decide whether to issue a travel ban similar to the ones that were announced by the United Kingdom and Israel after scientists get a clearer picture of the new version of the coronavirus detected in South Africa. Can I just say this, that this detected South African variant, which I think has been called the Botswana variant, all right, that has got only 49 cases in the world. It is something that was known about in the summer, but it's only just getting out now. And it makes you wonder why they're ramping this particular variant up now as we're getting very close to Christmas. It also says the minister here, Thanos Previs, said yesterday, we will also follow a tough line, but our scientists must have a clear picture. He told journalists when asked if Greece will follow the example of the aforementioned countries. He said, meanwhile, the European President Ursula von der Leyen said on Friday all air travel should be suspended with southern African countries until details of the new variant are most clear. She said that the variant could spread around the world in a few months after cases were detected in the Belgium and Israel. Now, also as well, Belgium confirmed its first case of the South African COVID variant designated Omicron. The European Commission has advised all member states to impose an emergency ban on flights into the EU from South Africa. It's not known yet how infectious and deadly the new strain is, but it is causing concern as it is the most mutated so far detected. Cases have also been confirmed in South Africa, Hong Kong, Israel, Botswana and Belgium. It has been reported that the UK is going to resume flights on Sunday from South African countries where it first said they weren't going to bring people in, but those arriving will have to be quarantined for 10 days. Now, what's basically happening here is as these people arrive from South African destinations that are on their list, they will be taken to special, it's been described as camps, but basically it's hotels that are approved. But the worst of it, this is the fact is they're going to go into these quarantine locations and they're going to have to pay out of their own pocket. There was talking about £1,900 for the stay of 10 days or however they want to keep them there. But again, that will be paid by those people arriving into the country. So again, this is obviously a deterrent for people from those areas to obviously go into the UK, because you will be quarantined and you're going to end up paying. This is why now Jane and I are really worried with going back to the UK at the moment, the way things are being ramped up before Christmas. All this talk about saving Christmas, and you just feel like, you know what, I'm fingers crossed that they don't start going silly with restrictions. Anyway, interestingly, I found another little piece of news this morning. A study in Belgium by the Saraceno Institute of Public Health has concluded that in the age group 55 to 64, those vaccinated are 47 times more likely to die from a COVID infection than those who are fully vaccinated. Now, there's an opposing side to that story, which I also discovered as well this morning. Meanwhile, in the UK, the Office of National Statistics was slapped down by a UK statistics watchdog for a misleading claim that unvaccinated have 32 times the risk of a COVID death. Now, James Wells, a statistician who used to work and used to be head of the ONS, that's the Office of National Statistics, and he works for the trade team up until 2019, he pointed out that when he wrote to the director of the UK Statistics Authority, the Office of Statistical Regulators, the OSR, to complain about the report earlier this month, the statistics used in the data actually came from January the 2nd to September the 24th, 2021, which includes a bulk of the winter deaths at the time when almost no one was vaccinated in the UK. So again, I'm wondering if this little statistic that's been brought out by the this statistics group in where was it? I said where it was, I've lost it. Yeah, in Belgium. May not be suffering some of the same data as what the UK one was. So again, I'm going to keep an eye on this story, because again, they're ramping up the let's get vaccinated mantra. And once again, I'm not anti-vaccine, I am pro-choice, but this just plays into the hands of those people that want to see it mandatory. And also, can I say also as well, there was a survey going around. I was watching a very interesting discussion on Talk Radio yesterday about the UK survey that was done about whether whether you were vaccinated or unvaccinated, and whether vaccinations should be mandatory. And they were saying that something like 90 odd percent, I could have the number wrong, was saying of vaccinated people said that unvaccinated people should be vaccinated. There's a fault in that survey as well, in the fact that if you say that you are vaccinated or unvaccinated, you get two different paths to your survey. You're not getting asked the same questions, because they're obviously looking for an answer that they want rather than what is really occurring. So again, please be very cautious of some of these online surveys or some of these surveys that are being issued, because there's already an agenda being set by people in power or by certain frameworks or mindsets that they're pushing an agenda, and you're not going to get a clear, proper answer. It's going to be muddled, because again, one of the best surveys you can do is just go and ask people in the street sometimes, and you may get a different answer to what the government is saying. And we saw that with Brexit, we saw that with lots of other things as well. So again, please be very cautious of some of the information, some of the stats that are being put out. Please read everything if you have time. from all sides before you make your decision. And again, I'm not anti-vax. Please, I hate that word anti-vax. I am pro-choice, all right, in regards vaccines, not mandatory vaccines, all right. Anyway, and a little highlight just to reinforce that. An Athens prosecutor is examining 2 case files from the police from the cybercrimes unit that implicate up to 20 people in violations of the law regarding the spread of fake news about the coronavirus pandemic. Now, the first file concerns 5 groups and 4 individuals, Facebook's accounts, promoting the non-use of masks by pupils at schools, implicating a total of 15 people. Now, the groups included a cybercrimes prosecution case file, which included no child with a mask at school, I demand fresh air for my children, and parents protest against the use of masks. The other case file concerns a web page called Indigenous Greek Natives, which encourages and urged non-compliance measures against the spread of coronavirus and implicates 5 people. I'd like to say now, I don't associate myself with any of those people at the moment. I don't know about those sites or those areas, but as I've said before, I am here just to give information about what's happening here in Greece. I am a person who does not want to be vaccinated, but I am not promoting non-vaccination, all right? I am just promoting people should have the choice whether they stick it in their arm. And you've already got to start looking at the amount of people that are already being vaccinated, whether there isn't a herd immunity slowly starting to evolve. I do feel that to vaccinate children under the age of, from the age of 4 upwards, again, is wrong. And I feel that parents should think very carefully about whether they should vaccinate their children against COVID-19 at that age, when really they need to get their own herd immunity going by mixing with other people and building up a natural resistance. Yes, have the rubella, have the polio, have all of those which are tried and tested vaccinations, but be very cautious with the COVID-19. But again, I will leave that to you to decide whether you should do it. And I've just seen a little comment there from Fiona Hutton. She says, daughter has been told she has to have the vaccine before February or she will probably lose her job. Obviously, I take it that your daughter is working in the NHS. And this is what I'm talking about, this bribery, this they've worked for so many months with people surrounding them that have the infection, and in fact in the NHS more people were catching coronavirus by going to hospital than they were outside at one point. So therefore, why aren't they looking at these people and saying, why is it your immune system seems to be fighting the fighting the infection rate, and we shouldn't mess with it? You know, basically, let's look at you. So again, already in the private sector in the UK, nursing homes, etc., everybody has to be vaccinated or they lose their jobs. I've been watching some harrowing video of people who've been working in nursing homes for years and years and years, being told they cannot work anymore and they have to go because that's what the government says. And from Fiona, she says, yes, she is a senior prescription manager and has worked all the way through this crisis. So again, to me, it's wrong that people are being basically told they will lose their job, they will lose their way of life. And of course, the problem the government has, which they're not talking about, they're leaving this up to the private sector to see how it works, is where you're going to find the doctors, where you're going to find the nurses, where you're going to find the cleaners, where you're going to find the cooks, the chefs, all the ancillary staff, the technicians who keep a medical institution running, if you're going to fire them because they haven't had the vaccine, all right? And they're surrounded by the virus all the time. So again, I'm not going to rant on about that, but I think you can understand where I'm coming from. Another little story, again, you could probably relate this to COVID as well. Greek police have issued a report yesterday that domestic violence in the first 9 months in this year was more than in the whole of 2019 and 2020. And they revealed that at a conference yesterday. Anyway, they said up up to September, a total of 5,857 incidents of domestic violence were reported to the police, more than 5,413 throughout 2020, and 5,221 cases in 2019. Now, according to the online event, Abuse and Social Perceptions, organised by the Aid Alternative Initiative Development and the Women's Political Power Deputy Minister for the Demographic Policy and Family, Maria Dragia, pointed out that there are 43 counselling centres offering free legal and social and psychological support to women victims of violence. They also provide employment support, as a large percentage of women who resort to these structures are now unemployed. Anyway, at the event, which presented the survey, which conducted on a sample of 252 people, a vast majority of whom are women, 83%, the third level graduates or holders of master degrees, 80%, and surveys showed that 82% of the respondents considered bodily harm and 87% of non-consensual sexual intercourse to be harassment and abuse. Almost half of the respondents, 122 people, stated that they had been victims or witnessed of abuse or harassment. However, only 30 people from that lot had actually gone ahead and filed a complaint. Can I just say, if you're experiencing any form of domestic or sexual violence and you live in Greece, you can get help. You can call either the police, and the police now are better trained, shall we say, in dealing with domestic violence and domestic abuse. And you can also use a hotline. You can use that number, which is 100, or you can call a dedicated helpline that they have here in Greece, which is 1440, and this is specially staffed by psychologists and social workers, and they're also trained in using special communications techniques over the phone. And what's more, they speak not only in Greek, but they also speak in English as well. So if you're somebody who's living in Greece and you're suffering sexual violence or domestic abuse, then obviously you can call that number and they can speak to you in English as well as speaking to you in Greek. Right, so that's it. Can I just say thank you to those people that are tuning in at the moment. Thank you again to Fiona Hutton. I've been able to see your comments as I'm broadcasting because I'm on my phone. It might be telling me now it's time to get a new tablet, I think. Steve Thompson is there. Jack David Hester. Lorraine Julie Hudson is also tuning in. Lisa Jane Baker as well. Emma Mark, who says, good to see you, Ginge. Hoping to catch up with you and your broadcast. Thank you very much. Don't forget that the broadcasts also go out onto YouTube. They'll be uploaded there, so you can watch them at your convenience on YouTube. Also, once again, big shout out to Ben Warner, who's also looking in this morning as well. Just to remind you, the Dance Anthem show went out last night on beatsradio.co.uk. Can I thank all those people in the chat area last night? Nice little party going on in there, especially with Shane Bowen. He's a crazy man. But anyway, the show is being repeated today on beatsradio.co.uk. The show was a banger last night, and even Lady Jane enjoyed the music last night, which was really nice. So I like it. She's a good critic, actually, Jane. You can catch that show tonight. It goes out at 9 p.m. UK time, which is 11 o'clock Greek time, on beatsradio.co.uk. Can I just say a quick shout out to the lovely Ian T. He was back on broadcasting last night. Ian, he's a man who's been through the wars. He had a leg amputated last year. He caught COVID while in hospital. He's been back in hospital again. He's obviously been difficult for him to do shows for beatsradio.co.uk, but he was back doing his mashup show for an hour last night on Beats Radio, and it was nice to see that he was back doing his shows. So again, Ian, big up to you, mate, and hope things are going to get better for you, okay, as we get towards the end of the year. All right. Also as well, anybody else? Claire Thompson is watching. Mark Pumphrey is also watching. Raffredge Buddy. Wendy Norcliffe is watching. Andrew the Fridge Watkins is also tuning in as well. Nice to have you tuning in, buddy, as well. Right. that's it from me. I'll keep my ear to the ground. Once again, for all those people here out and about in Zakynthos, just be careful where you're going to. I don't think Jane and I will be going anywhere. I think today the weather is not looking very good. Although, and I can hear a rattle of thunder. Yeah, a rattle of thunder at the moment just going on. Jane and I will be hopefully tomorrow feeding the strays in Kalamaki tomorrow, so we'll probably have a look at some of the damage there. But hopefully I'm going to see how many strays have we got left after this hurricane swept through, or tornado, not hurricane, tornado swept through. But anyway, we'll find out tomorrow. Anyway, you take care. You have a great day. Once again, I'll keep my ear to the ground. If I hear anything, I'll let you know. Ta-ra.